This is the fourth RSpace Inventory Imports from CSV tutorial video. In this video, we'll be showing how you can import items and associate them with existing samples, and also place things into a specific container. The video will also help you understand the relationship between samples and subsamples inside RSpace. So you can see here I have two CSV files. These are both available to you if you want from the documentation page related to importing samples in RSpace. At the bottom of the page you can download this zip file that contains all of the example CSVs that I'll be using today. If I take a look at the two CSV files that we're interested in today, we can see that the first one defines a number of new subsamples. Notice that one of them will be making 10 mils of subsample and the rest are all making 2 mils each. In this example, I'll be associating these new incoming subsamples with specific pre-existing samples that are already in RSpace. One of the things I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy the unique identifier for the first sample on this list. Go to RSpace and search for that sample. When I do that, I can find the sample here. It already exists in RSpace. When we take a closer look at it, what you may notice is that at this time, this sample consists of no subsamples. So the sample has basically been exhausted, and perhaps we're going to be acquiring new identical subsamples that are coming from some external source, and we'll be associating those subsamples with this empty sample. So let's begin. I'm going to go to the Create area, and then under CSV Import, I'll choose Subsamples. I'll then go ahead and click Select Subsamples CSV File, and I'll choose the More Taxane Subsamples. Here we can see a list of the different sorts of things that we'll be importing. I'm actually going to go ahead and say I also want to note the parent sample RSpace ID, and I'll tell the system that I want to associate that with the parent global ID here, so that the samples know which sample they're supposed to belong to. Then I'm going to go to the Containers area, and I'll select a container to choose. Now you may have noticed here that in my import example, here we can see that the container defines this number here as being the identifier for the container that will be the destination for these subsamples. And here in the subsample CSV, I've actually also specified that these subsamples are meant to go into this container. Alright, so now I've got some containers and subsamples selected. I'll go ahead and click Import Containers and Subsamples. I see that the import was successful. If I now go to my bench and I look in the import folder, I should see a list container, and inside that list container are the new incoming subsamples. If I want to, I can switch this to see the parent sample for each of these two as well. Or I could switch this to show the quantity. Here we can see that for most of these 2 milliliters of fluid was imported, and for the taxane stock we have 10 milliliters. I'm going to take a closer look at this taxane stock sample. So let's look at the parent sample. This is the same parent sample we looked at earlier, and now we can see that there are 5 subsamples that have been associated with that sample, and we can see that the total amount of the material under the overview, under the details panel, is going to show me a total quantity of 18 mils. And if I scroll down to here, again, I can see the relative contribution of each of those different subsamples again. So what we've done here is import a set of subsamples. They're currently in a container which I also imported at the same time, and they're also associated with a specific sample. If I want to, I can go back to my bench. I can look inside the import item folder. I can select the container and say move. I could go ahead now and move that container into a larger container that I often use for my taxane samples, I can select that here and say move. And so now the recently imported container with all of its subsamples in it is now nested inside a larger container. The import folder is now empty. I can select that and I can say trash.